Hey, everybody. Welcome to Grilling at the Green. I'm your host, JT, or Jeff, as you might know. How's your golf game and how's the world of golf around you? Well, we're going to cover some of that with our guest this week, Brendon Jonge, who's a former tour player. You're not playing anymore, are you, on the tour?
No, I'm done, Jeff. I my last full year out there was, I think, 2019. So I've been done for about 5 years now.
So you just hanging out and reaping all the whirlwinds of glory and fortune from the tour?
That sounds wonderful. No, I'm looking for things to do. Trying to find as much stuff as I can to keep myself busy, stay out of trouble. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been exciting, and I don't know if I've enjoyed this side of it for sure.
Yeah, I noticed you're doing some media work here and there.
I am, yeah. Luckily enough, I've done some stuff with Golf Channel. I've done some stuff with PGA Tour Live, and done quite a bit of stuff with Sirius XM Radio. So I got the perfect face for radio. So it's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's what they always told me too.
Yeah,
So, you must be, if you did PJ Tour Live, you must be working with Lisa once in a while.
Lisa Cornwell.
Yeah,
Yep, yeah. I've done quite a bit of work with Lisa Cornwell. She's the best. She is so good.
she's a good friend. So,
Very, very nice. Yeah, as an analyst, she is the absolute dream host. She makes it very, very easy for you. So it's been fun. She's cool to work with.
and actually, when I interview her, she makes it really easy for me too, because I'm still in the remedial stages after 40 years. But I love Lisa. She does a great job.
Yeah,
So, I want
very good at what she does. Sorry.
no problem. Um, just so I'm sure our listeners know, but you grew up in Zimbabwe and then you came over here and you went to Virginia Tech. Um, I'm a college football guy and I love that and I love college sports. What is a hokey? I don't know what that is.
I wish I had a dollar for every time I'd been asked that question. It's a essentially the short answer is it's a fictional turkey.
Yeah,
We were
okay.
we were the Fighting Gobblers. It was a big military school, and Hokie was part of some military war cry essentially, and it sort of adapted from that. And yeah, short answer is it's a fictional turkey.
Well, I'm sure they scared the hell out of the enemy if they went, "Come on, Hokies, over the wall. Here we go."
I mean,
Jeez.
wouldn't you be scared of that?
I would be scratching my head at least like that. So when you were a kid, Brendon, did you play a lot of golf over there? I know you said in your bio, Nick Price is one of your heroes. He's a great guy to look up to. He did a lot for junior golf in your country, but was the availability of golf there? We got a lot of golf courses in this country, but it's a big country. So what
Yeah.
about Zimbabwe?
Jeff, we were fortunate. I grew up playing all sports. I played a ton of cricket, a ton of rugby, a ton of tennis, and obviously golf. But we were very, very fortunate in that they made it accessible for the juniors. They made it very, very easy, very, very cheap for the juniors. So we've got probably, I would say, half a dozen to maybe 10 really good golf courses in the country. And we had the benefit of playing a different golf course every day of the week during the school holidays. And that was kind of free of charge every morning before the members would play. They made their courses available to the juniors. So we had a wonderful junior program. And had a fantastic climate as well. Year round, Zimbabwe is probably one of the best climates in the world. So we had that going for us as well. And then, from there we got the exposure to play a lot of golf in South Africa as well. And then, if you were doing well, you got sent on some nice international trips. You were sent over to the States to play in some big AJGA events, or sent to other places around the world to sort of compete and see where you stacked up.
Um, did you ever play on the Sunshine Tour?
I never played as a full-time member of the Sunshine Tour. I stayed here after college. I've played a handful of Sunshine Tour events, but was never a member of the tour.
Because I enjoy reading. I love reading about golf and some of the stuff I read from Faraday and him and Nick Price playing down there and Ernie playing and all that. Those guys had a lot of fun.
They did. They did. There's a wonderful camaraderie down there. As I say, I played a handful of Sunshine Tour events, mostly the ones that were co-sanctioned with the old European Tour, now DP World Tour. But
Right.
Yeah, they did. There was a fantastic camaraderie. Guys travel around together, spent a lot of time together. Loved going out and having a couple beers after the round, and it was just a little bit more laid back than we have it here in the States.
Yeah, we could use a little more of that sometimes,
Yes,
I
we
think.
could. Yes, we could.
What did you plan on coming to the States, or is that just something that kind of evolved once you found out you were pretty good at golf and you got some inspiration from people like we just talked about with Nick Price and et cetera, et cetera? Was that the big plan?
It was, Jeff. I actually, right before I decided this was what I wanted to do, I actually got offered a professional cricket contract by the Zimbabwe Cricket Union. They came to the house, the head of the selectors came to the house and I wasn't home. My dad was there and said, "Hey, we'd love Brendon to come and start training with the Zimbabwe national cricket team." Luckily, I wasn't there, and my dad said to him, "Well, I don't think he's going down that route. He wants to go to college in the States." So yes, that was kind of that was always the goal for us, was that we knew that the opportunities that college would create and would provide for us. So that was kind of what you wanted to do if you were showed some decent quality as a golfer. You wanted to certainly try and come over here and play.
Someday on another show, you're going to have to explain cricket to me.
That might
Okay.
have to be a long show,
A
Jeff.
long show.
Long show, yeah.
Because I know when I've traveled overseas and sometimes the only thing on is a cricket match, and I've stared at the boob tube for like an hour and a half, nothing really happened. They throw a few balls or whatever they call them, and a guy with a square 2x4 up there swats them, and nothing really happens.
Yeah,
So,
if I put it on here at home, my kids will immediately walk out the room. My wife she'll act like she's doing anything else. It's not very well received in my household.
cleaning the drain pipe might be more fun for him or something like that.
Yeah, I think she might have said something like that. Either that or a root canal. But
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
different.
So did we're gonna get a break here in a little bit, Brendon, but was it a big change when you stepped off the plane when you first time you came to the States and you looked around? I mean, the layouts are different. We still have greenery, et cetera, but was it a real wow moment?
Jeff, I'd come over a couple times prior to play junior golf, but it was only down in Miami. So Miami's obviously very different than Blacksburg, Virginia. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when I first got to college, it wasn't too different. I think if I'd gone to college in a big city, that would have been more of a an adjustment. But the fact that I went into a small college town, essentially, it was more sort of the pace that I was used to, obviously coming from Africa, from Zimbabwe. So it really wasn't too much of an adjustment until that first winter hit. And then that was hard. I was very, very close to getting on the plane going home for our winter break in December and not coming back. Like I hated the cold.
When, yeah, me too, and I live
Yeah.
here. When you came over as a junior player, did your folks come with you, or were you in a group and chaperones or whatever?
No, we were sent. It was the top two juniors at the time were sent over, and we were kind of thrown in the deep end, left to fend for ourselves. And it was absolutely fantastic. It was a great way to grow up a little bit, get in a little bit of trouble that nobody else knew about. And it
Eh,
was, yeah, we had an absolute ball over here every time we got sent. So I say every time. I came twice as a junior, and both times just absolutely loved it.
Oh, yeah. Well, those teenage experiences stay with us. You know what I mean?
Yes,
For
yes.
for your entire life. We're talking with Brendon DeYoung today from well, he's from the States now, but he was from Zimbabwe. And we're going to talk about his career coming back. Also, going to talk about the President's Cup because he played in the President's Cup. So, we're going to be talking about that. We'd also like to thank, before we go to break here, Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended. I told you I was a cooking guy, Brendan. And
Yeah.
the Oregon Crab Commission, their Dungeness crab from sea to plate. Anyway, Brendan and I will be back in just a minute. Don't go away. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. I'm JT. Today, we're very fortunate to have Brendon DeYoung with us. Brendan's a former tour player, now a media mogul, and working his way up to, he'll probably own a network one day or something. Who knows? Like that. Brendon, this is where in the show, I always ask our guest, and you're a perfect one for this, a travel tip. We have golfers listening to the show, and most of them say, "Oh, I shipped my clubs, or I did this or that." There's more to travel than just shipping your sticks. There's a lot of good things you could learn. And you, being an international player and traveler, what would you tell people?
I always, Jeff, would make sure that I took at least two extra pairs of underwear in my carry-on. Always. I, it's there's nothing worse. You can wear clothes again if your bags get lost or if your bags get delayed, whatever. But putting on dirty underwear is the worst thing after a nice shower. So I always carry two extra pairs of underwear in my carry-on bag.
That's maybe one of the best tips we ever got. Off off the air, I'll tell you about on a trip I went and picked up my luggage and went to the hotel. And it wasn't my luggage. It was a sample bag of Victoria's Secret, but that'll be another show altogether. Um, that's a true story too. Would like to thank the folks at Kia, Weston Kia in Oregon, Oregon's largest dealer. Thank you for supporting us here on this show. And now we've got an excellent travel tip from Brendon. So I wanted to talk about your career a little bit. And I've got the stats here, and there's lots of stats on that. But if you have a career, and these may be a little dated, so correct me, please, if I'm wrong, but you made 192 cuts, 28 top tens, 10 top fives, three thirds, and a couple of runner-ups. That's a really pretty good career if you're familiar with playing on the big tours, because it's tough out there.
Yeah, there's the one glaring omission there, obviously, was that I never was able to cross that finish line on tour. Had plenty of really good opportunities. Couple times it was my fault. Couple times I just got beaten down the stretch. Yeah, I certainly would have loved to have won on tour, but other than that, I'm pretty proud looking back at what I did achieve. And there was a consistency as well. I went through a long period there where I was, always sort of in the top 50 on the money list for sort of 5, 6, 7 years in a row. So there was a nice consistency there. But yeah, as I say, obviously that one glaring omission is the lack of a win.
Well, I had a friend, he's gone now, but I had a friend, and I was saying something. We were golfing one day, and he looked at me, and he would, when he wanted to make a point, he would always call me Jeffrey, which the only other person that did that was my mother. And that
Yeah.
would send piss shivers down my spine, right? So he said, Jeffrey, he said, there's a lot of excellent golfers on tour that make a really good living. We were talking about distance, I guess, Brendon. He said, but they don't hit the ball over 275 yards. So I don't know what you're complaining about, because you're not a tour player either. But I remember the part of saying they make a very good living. And
Yeah.
if you were in the top 50, that was job security.
Yeah, it was, Jeff. Obviously it afforded me a nice lifestyle after the fact. After I stopped playing. Yeah, it was. There was a consistency there, and I did. I played a bunch of really good golf for a lengthy period of time. And it's hard. It's hard to win on tour. I fully understand that. As I say, just I wish I'd been able to just get across that finish line at least once.
Yeah. I can appreciate that. I really can, but still, like you said, you made a very nice living, and your wife is still live with you, so she didn't mind.
Yeah, she's still with me at the moment. I think the more time I spend at home, she's kind of wishing I was still playing on tour, not for the money, but just for the fact that I was gone all the time. But
That clock's
anyway,
ticking,
that's
so to speak, Brendon.
yeah, yeah. That's for another time.
Yeah, that's okay. Um, so and this is your bio, and I'm sure you've been asked this a million times. But you played with Alice Cooper,
Yeah,
and I read his book. Well, you played with Michael Bolton too. I
yeah,
did get a chance to talk to Michael Bolton one time. I've never talked to Alice Cooper. I'd love to have him on the show, because he is a golf maniac.
yes, yeah.
And what was that like? Was it comparably? Was that anything like playing with Tiger or Phil when you were playing with Cooper? Or was it a different vibe? And how was
No,
his golf?
his golf was good, Jeff. He was a good player, like a legitimate sort of 3-4 handicap. Um, I played with Alice. think it was actually out at Sony Open out in Hawaii, and it was
Yeah.
him and his manager, Shep Gordon, who I think may have managed the Beatles for a short while as well. But it was Alice, Shep Gordon, and one other. And I tell you what, he was an absolute delight. They were both an absolute delight. Shep played barefoot the whole time. Um, and Alice essentially was telling me that golf was now his fix. He said, obviously I've dealt with, you name it, any kind
Yeah.
of substance abuse you can think of or any kind of addiction. Golf was now his fix. He said he's got a very addictive personality, and this was kind of it now. So he was 7 days a week, was at least what he was playing. Some days 36 holes, and as I say, like a legitimate 3 or 4 handicap. And he was just, to listen to some of the stories were absolutely brilliant. And he's a fantastic storyteller as well to go with it. And then Michael Bolton on the flip side. Michael Bolton was kind of a jerk, but anyway, that again,
Yeah.
that's just how it is.
Yeah. I've been that. I played in some pro-ams and covered pro-ams and stuff. Once in a while, you run into those,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yep, it happens.
But the ones that are nice, like you were talking about Alice Cooper and that, they're just a dream to be around that day or whenever you do it. I can't imagine playing 36 holes a day though. I mean,
Well, if it's going to keep you out of trouble, it might be a good recipe.
yeah, I suppose. Like that. What's your favorite? We got about 20 seconds left here,
Yeah.
Brendon, before we go to break. What is your favorite memory of something that happened on tour?
Um, oh man, you only gave me 20 seconds, Jeff. I'd have to think for
Well,
longer to
we can
exactly come
run
up
over.
with
Well,
this.
you can think about it now. We'll pick it up when we come back. How's that?
Let's
Because
do that.
we burned up to 17 seconds talking about it. So
Let's do that.
okay, Brendon and I are going to be back after the break. You're listening to Grilling at the Green on the Golf News Network and all the other stations. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. Today we have got Brendon DeYoung with us. We'd like to thank our new sponsor too, Square Shoes. I think I got a Squares hat on today. They're really comfortable. I've got funky feet. When you get old and fat, your feet get funky. You're going to find out, Brendon. So Square Shoes are really comfortable. Anyway, I asked you before we went to the break, what was a favorite or the favorite memory of playing on tour?
Jeff, for me, it's got to be my dad being able to caddy for me in the par three contest at Augusta. I absolutely loved that. And then, just to add to that, my daughter, I think at the time was maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5, whatever. So for my dad to be caddying for me, and then his granddaughter walking along with us and putting out and
Oh,
stuff, that
wow.
was that was a really cool experience. And then obviously my wife and we had my little boy at the time were there to what catch us at the end. But that was fun, a really really cool day, and that's certainly up there for me.
Did they have the bibs on, the overalls?
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yeah. They
Yeah.
all had the bibs on.
That would be great.
My son actually he took off running at one point. I think he was maybe 3 at the time. He took off running at one point, and he ran through this like little white picket fence, and all of a sudden these like 3 or 4 green jackets pop up out of the blue. Like I don't know where these guys are stationed, but they pop up like ghosts.
Yeah.
These guys were so concerned that he was hurt, and they're making a huge fuss over him. And the only thing he wanted out of running over this fence was some Cheetos. So they all of a sudden, right away, they came up with a couple packets of Cheetos. I don't know where they found those, but things are done differently at Augusta.
I think our Secret Service should take some lessons from those guys, how to blend in and stuff. Maybe, just a thought. So so we've got the President's Cup coming up this week.
Yeah.
You played it in 13.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
Without a doubt, the highlight of my golfing career on the golf course. It was just so much fun. I was fortunate enough to play all 4 team matches with Ernie Els, who was someone that I'd grown up looking up to play for Nick Price as my captain, who was definitely my idol growing up. it was just an absolute dream come true. The only thing that we got robbed of was some time in that team room. The weather was shocking that week, so we were not back to the hotel and sort of until about 9, 10 every night, and then leaving at sort of 4:35 every morning. So it limited our time in that team room. But what we were able to spend in there was just absolutely brilliant. And then getting to know those guys so much better, and forging relationships that have turned out into some of my best friends, really.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Um, I got a confession to make, Brendan. I
Yes, sir.
actually kind of like watching the President's Cup more than the Ryder Cup.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
The there's a lot more hype about the Ryder Cup.
Yep.
There just is. Secondly, there's always some European players on the Ryder Cup that I don't know who they are. I
Okay.
mean, just like this. And I think with the President's Cup, you get that international flavor. You got, even though you were living in the States, you're representing Zimbabwe, you got people from Asia, you got Europe, you got Africa, you got Australia, you got all that. And I think that's kind of more of you got Adam Scott in there,
Yeah.
doing stuff like that. And nothing against the Ryder Cup. I mean, if I said that in front of Rory, he'd probably hit me. But I just think it's a more fun atmosphere, and the golf a lot of times to me is better. So that's just me.
Yeah, no, no. I think you probably would find yourself in a minority there, Jeff. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, no, I can see certainly where you're coming from. But in saying that, I think it's very, very important that the internationals win this year. And I know a lot of people have talked about it, but the fact that I think this is the 15th version of it, and the internationals have only won once. I think there's one win and one tie in the 14 previous. Obviously we talk about a competition, and a competition you need both teams to be pulling their weight. So I think it's very, very important for the internationals to go out and get a win this year. And honestly, I've kind of got a warm, fuzzy feeling inside of me that I think this is going to be the year.
It could well be. And
Yeah.
and like I said, I really enjoy watching the President's Cup. Nothing against the Ryder Cup. I watched that too. I watched the
Yeah.
Solheim Cup. I watch all that stuff. But I just for some reason, it's not about me, but I do like to watch the President's Cup. What advice would you give the international team this year? You
I
you
honestly,
got your finger on the pulse.
yeah, no, no. I would say, well, for one, just soak it all in. Like enjoy the week for what it is. You don't get to play much team golf really at all throughout the year. This is your one opportunity to really forge some friendships, and to really get to know some of the guys and their families, their wives, kids, whatever. So just take all of that in and enjoy it, and just soak in the entire week.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's an experience of a lifetime,
It
really.
really is. Yeah.
Yeah, for that. Well, I would think that would be some really good Marvin, stay down. I got a new studio cat here.
Okay.
Stay, sit. Yeah, he minds like hell. Anyway, I just think those types of things are so much fun. That's what to me attracts people to golf too, besides the individual thing. I mean, you've looked at TV numbers from the pro tours,
Yeah.
and they've kind of declined for various reasons.
Hmm.
Um, Me being in the media business a long time, one of the reasons I think that is because they jammed up all the majors at the beginning of the year,
Sure.
and like that. But that's a discussion people can have. Um, but I think that stuff like, um, you know, President's Cup, Ryder Cup, Solheim Cup, like that. I think it does well for golf like that. What, Brendon? What do you think this current state of golf is in general for hackers like me to the pros? What's your overview on that?
Honestly, Jeff, golf as a whole, I think is in a really strong place. I think
Hmm.
it's fantastic at the moment. I mean, geez, you don't have to look very far to see just what the prices are doing as far as initiations are to get into golf course, what wait lists are. So I think as far as a whole, golf is in a very, very strong place. I mean, obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that professional golf is kind of fractured at the moment. It's listen, I think that all the viewer really wants is to see the best golfers playing against each other as often as possible. And
Yeah.
we're not there at the moment. Unfortunately, there's too many guys that are for lack of a better term, just trying to line their pockets.
Right.
And it's going to take somebody a whole lot smarter than me to figure out exactly what it's going to take. But common sense wise says there should be something that's not that difficult to figure out.
Yeah. What if you were still playing when Liv came along, would you have considered playing for him or would
I
you
would
have
have. I
yeah.
would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't hold anything against any of those guys that took the opportunity. I do wish that maybe a few guys had been a little bit more forthcoming with why they were going over there. I love the fact that Harold Varner said, listen, these guys are offering me an amount of money that I cannot say no to. And I'm going to take it. I didn't grow up with a whole lot. I wish we'd heard more of that as
Yeah.
opposed to guys saying, "Oh, I'm moving over there to grow the game." I don't feel like that was the case with many of those guys.
I I I actually don't like that saying because I don't think we do a very good job of it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's an overused cliche. And then for like the example you just cited, I think that we should be careful about that. Um, do you think the fracture can be healed?
I do. I do. I mean, I think everything's going to take some time. I think the fact that listen, once all of this they sort of come to a pass, then you're still dealing with the DOJ, and then you're looking at still probably another year once the
Right.
DOJ gets involved in all of this. I don't think that our fix is very close, to be honest. And I hate the fact that we hear on one hand guys that are close to the whole situation, Jordan Spieth saying talks are progressing really nicely. Then you hear Rory McIlroy the next day saying, "Well, we're kind of at an impasse here, and nothing's happening." So I really don't know which one to believe. I would love like the rest of golf fans to see something get resolved.
I guess if you could, excuse me, Brendon, if you could track Tiger's jet and you knew he was going to a meeting, but he won't tell you anything anyway. So, he's a master at that.
Yeah, and that's kind of it now. Every now and then we hear that there's some meeting taking place in New York, but I think everybody's kind of become sort of almost null to that. That we're not or
Hmm.
numb to it. We're not expecting to hear anything that comes out of those meetings, so nobody seems too interested anymore.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. And it's to me, it's just unfortunate that it happened the way it happened.
Yeah.
'Cause I think there was plenty of room, but
Yep.
the one of in my take, Greg Norman wanting to poke a finger in the eye of the tour and other tour guys wanting to poke the finger back. That's a layman's term if you don't know that, Brendan. But I just think that was very unfortunate for the game.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brendan and I are going to take a break. We're going to be back, wrap up the show, and then he's going to suffer the trials and tribulations of after hours. He doesn't know it yet, but he will. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Grilling at the Green. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on terrestrial radio or if you're listening on the Golf News Network on iHeart and the other streams we are on, today we've got Brendan DeYoung with us. Again, we'd like to thank the people at Oregon Dungeness Crab, from Sea to Plate, Painter Hills Natural Beef, Squares, Grilla Grills, all the people that support us. We really appreciate that. Um, if you if you could get a dream foursome, and this is a common question, but if you could get a dream foursome to play, who would it be? Any play, I mean, from Old Top Morris to whomever, who would that be?
Um, I would have to say my dad would be part of it. He's 87 years old now, and he still loves to get out and play some.
Yeah.
Jack he was a huge Jack Nicklaus fan growing up, so
Oh,
I
sure.
guess my dad with Jack Nicklaus. And I would throw Nick Price in there. The Zimbabwe flavor would certainly be a part of it. My dad has met Nick a few times. They've had a couple beers together and get on really well. So I think that could be a fun day.
Does your dad live in the States or is he back in Zimbabwe?
No, he's in the States now. They moved across about 5 years ago now. So my mom and dad actually they live on our property, so I see a lot of them.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
That
it's nice.
that's a good son deal right there.
Yeah,
What?
sometimes feels like it's too good of a sun deal, but that's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I know that deal.
Yeah,
We had a family ranch, so
there you go. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Um, as big as it was, sometimes it felt really crowded.
yep. I fully understand. We're kind of the same way. We got 26 acres out here, and sometimes it feels like it's everybody's on top of everybody. But
Yeah,
no, it's been nice.
yeah. Well, it's better than living in an 800 square foot apartment.
True.
Oh, what else have you got going on before we jump into after hours here? What else have you got going on? You're doing some media work for Tour Live, and
Yep.
you've done some stuff for Golf Channel. Are they going to bump you up to CBS, NBC anytime soon?
Not that I've heard of. If you know something I don't, Jeff, let me know.
I
But
will. I
yeah,
will.
no, at the moment it's enough. I've got probably I would say this year was 20 to 25 weeks of where I was doing stuff. I finally got to the point now where I'm enjoying going on boys' trips to go play some cool places, which, throughout my career I always said no, because when I was home, I just wanted to be home. Now it's the
Right.
opposite. When I'm home, I just want to go on some boys' trips. But no, it's been enough. And I've enjoyed everything on that side of it. I really have. There's a lot more to it than I understood when I was playing. I actually said this to somebody the other day that as a rookie on tour, you always have to do an orientation deal. I feel like part of your rookie orientation should be to go sit in a production truck and see exactly what happens to make you look good. And then I
Yeah.
think these guys would stop yelling at cameramen when they're moving and stuff. But yeah, it's really is cool being on that side of it and seeing everything that goes in.
I think that's a great idea that you
Hmm.
had there. I think you should. Maybe they can't get the live tour thing sorted, but they can at least do that,
Small steps.
small steps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does your wife, when you do these guys trips now, does your wife help you pack?
We haven't got to that point yet. She's always very excited for me to go, but then there's always seems to be something that goes wrong when I'm gone. So she wants me to be gone, but doesn't want me to have fun while I'm gone.
Yeah. You can't. Well, I learned that a long time ago because I traveled weekly for a long time, and you have to pick the time when you call home.
Yeah.
You have to know when things are kind of calmed down, they've had dinner or
Yep.
whatever, or first thing in the morning when they're on the rush to get the kids out the door and they've got about 2 minutes to talk to you. That works out really good. But if you
Yeah.
call them in the middle of the day, that's a bad deal, Maynard.
I'm figuring all this out the hard way, Jeff, but I'm about to that point now. You're exactly right. I know if I call at like 7:45 that she's got to take my daughter to school by 7:50. So yeah, it's going to be a short conversation. And you call and you're very concerned and checking in. And
Yeah.
anyway, it's figuring it out slowly.
Yeah. That's when you hang up the phone and you look at your guys and go, let's play.
Yep. Yep. Where's that Bloody Mary? Let's go.
So, Brendon, how can people find out more about what you're doing? Do you have a website or your social media handles? I know you're posting a few things here and there.
I do. Jeff, I was the guy, I feel like the world's biggest hypocrite because I used to wear my wife and kids out about being on social media all the time. And then when I got on this side of it, all of a sudden I had to start
Uh-huh.
my own social media stuff. So I'm very slow to the game, but I'm figuring it out. I do now have accounts with whatever it's called, Twitter, X,
Right.
Instagram, Facebook, and all of that stuff now.
Well, I'll have to I know we follow each other on LinkedIn, but I'll have to
Yeah.
twit you or something. I'll have to
Yeah,
let
twit me. And then I also I do a podcast with Johnson Wagner. We do the Wagyu Filet Show, which is our podcast that we do kind of sporadically at the moment, but that should become more regular. Hopefully starting next year.
Hey, if you ever want somebody to come on and talk about barbecue and grilling, I'm
Yeah,
your guy.
there we go.
Okay,
Love it.
I can do that because Frank has been on the show a few times. Well, Lisa too, and a
Okay.
number of them. But when Frank gets on the show, he'll only allow me like two segments to talk about golf, and then we got to talk about barbecue, and I got to get him tips and stuff like that. When
Which Frank now?
Nobilo,
You talking Frank Nobilo? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Frank's. He's like first time he was on, he was like, Hey, this show has grilling in the title. I said,
Yeah.
yeah. He goes, well, we haven't talked about food yet. And I said, okay. So
Well,
we
tell
did
him to
that.
tell him to send you some good wine to pair up with the food, and you guys will be even.
I hinted about that, but I
Yeah.
did get him some. I did get him some rubs sent to him, and I got him hooked up with a National Barbecue magazine and a few other things. So
Oh, very nice.
I
There you
did
go.
that for him. Yeah. Anyway, Brendon DeYoung, thank you, buddy. You're going to stick around for after hours, but it's been a real pleasure to meet you and to have you on the show.
No, thanks for having me, Jeff. Lots of fun, and yeah, I'd love to hang around for after hours.
Yeah, we can do that. We're going to get out of here. I hope you all have an enjoyable week. Enjoy the President's Cup. Enjoy your fall. And don't lose too much money on college football or the President's Cup. I guess I can bet on President's Cup now, I would think. Probably.
I think so. I think
I
so.
think so. Yeah. Anyway, good luck out there, everybody. We'll see you next week. And remember, go out, play some golf, take care, and most of all, be kind. Welcome to After Hours here on Grilling at the Green. I'm Jeff, of course. Nobody else would take this job. It's this week we're talking with Brendon DeYoung, professional golfer, now professional broadcaster. He's learning the ropes about when to call home and all that stuff. So it's just an accruement of knowledge, Brendon. That's all it is. When I started traveling, um, you were a kid. We didn't have cell phones.
Yeah, yeah,
So you could only call on the hotel phone or
yep,
pay phone from the event.
yep.
So yeah.
Sometimes I wish we were still back there, Jeff. That would
Yeah.
make things a whole lot easier.
Yeah, you could because when you get in the room and you were supposed to be in the room at 10:30, but it's 1:30 in the morning and the red light on the phone is blinking. Yeah, that's never a good sign.
Yeah.
Anyway, so these are a bunch of fun questions that I've come up with. We'll just see how you do. And if you don't want to answer one, don't answer it. But there's nothing too personal. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Um, if we declared you supreme leader of golf for one day, Brendon, what would you decree as supreme leader?
That we need to play faster.
Okay. Very good. Um, if you could play a round of golf with one of your golfing heroes, and I'm assuming you've already played a much golf with, Nick and Ernie and those
Yeah.
guys, but if one of your other golfing heroes, who would it be?
Um, Ben Hogan.
Okay. That sounds good to me. If you could dine with a historical figure, who would it be and what would be on the menu?
Ooh. Um, well, steak would be on the menu. Steak's always on the menu.
Of course. Yeah, yeah.
A good steak. I would love to sit down, or would have loved to have sat down with Nelson Mandela. I think that would have been an absolutely fantastic conversation, and just obviously one of those, as you say, historical figures.
Yeah, mine would probably be I considered Mandela, but Churchill, because my dad
Yeah.
was in World War II. So
Okay.
yeah, it kind of made sense there. But I've always thought that it would probably be a lengthy, foggy dinner with Churchill after a while. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You might have to have a couple dinners with Churchill because you wouldn't remember anything from the first one.
Yeah. Good thing we have digital recordings now. But yeah.
Yeah. True.
Okay. Um, when you were on tour, and there was a lengthy weather delay for whatever reason, you mentioned it about at the President's Cup and stuff, the weather issues and stuff. What did you do? Did you just go in the clubhouse and chill out and have a sandwich or whatever? What happened with Brendon when that happened?
I always tried to find Boo weekly because if you sit with Boo for long enough, you're going to sit there and you're going to be belly laughing by the end of it. You don't have to talk a whole lot. You can just sit and listen.
Yeah,
So if Boo was around, I would kind of gravitate towards Boo and pull up a seat near where he was.
I've got a friend like that. You just have to kind of say hi, and then
Yep.
they take it from there.
Right.
Yeah. Um, Brendon, if we put your skills to music, what would the music be?
Um, it would have to be country music, Jeff, because it would be something very simple.
Yeah, yeah, I can do
Yeah.
older country then.
Older country,
Yeah,
definitely older country. Yep.
yeah,
Maybe, well, not too older, maybe 90s country.
yeah. I did George Strait,
Yep. Yep.
Alan Jackson. That, yeah,
Yes.
that's all
Yep.
good. Yeah, it's all good. Um, you've been doing some broadcasting now. What's the dumbest thing you've seen while covering a tournament? Not playing in one, but covering a tournament. Because you guys in the booth, and I know this, you see a different perspective of the tournament than the people do at home a little bit. You're really watching it on monitors and you've got other things going on there. So you've always got the B-roll camera over here that you can see stuff in that you can't see at home.
Somebody got mad. I cannot remember who it was. Somebody got mad and tried to throw a ball in a water hazard and he missed. And the ball kind of went chasing down the fairway and he had to jog after his ball and go pick it up. So it was kind of a double whammy. He got mad, missed the hazard, and then had to go get his ball out of the fairway while the group behind waited. I don't remember who it was. Yeah, it was pretty entertaining for us to watch
I
though.
bet it was. Lisa was
Yeah.
probably laughing her head off there. Um, how have things changed since you started in professional golf?
The characters are gone for one, unfortunately. I don't know whether to blame the fact that we have so much social media around, but everything's kind of a lot more buttoned up. We've lost a lot of the characters. And so a lot of the camaraderie's gone as well. I remember vividly finishing a round, maybe my rookie year or maybe my second year, and I sat after the round, had 4 or 5 beers with Cole Peterson, Retief Goosen, and Ernie Els, and we just sat there and talked. As I got later in my career, that didn't happen. Guys finished a round and they were either straight to the range or back to the hotel.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And that's really unfortunate. Um, when you were playing, if you could have gotten a lesson from one other touring pro, who would you have picked?
Um, Tiger Woods would certainly have been one. I think he has an absolutely wonderful eye. I've been hitting balls close enough where he's been talking to I can't even remember who it was, Webb Simpson, and just watching Webb Simpson hit some balls. He had a wonderful eye. He was one. And then another pro that I actually did get some lessons from was Brandt Snedeker on the putting green. I thought Brandt on the putting green had a wonderful simplistic view of how to putt. And obviously I'm a little surprised that we don't see more copycats of the way Brandt Snedeker putted out there.
Yeah. He's not touring anymore, is he?
He's still playing. Yeah, he's dealt with a bunch of injuries, a whole ton of injuries the last few years. But he's starting to play some more now. Not playing great at the moment, but I have I have belief that he'll find it again. He works still works hard at it.
Brandon, what's one thing you miss about your 20s besides not hurting when you
Well,
wake up?
that was going to be it. How I felt the energy that I had. I wish that I still had that energy now that my kids are to an age at 15 and 13 where all they want to do is be out there kicking a soccer ball, playing whatever.
Yeah.
I'm tuckered out after about 20, 30 minutes now. So a little bit more energy would be great.
Me, I'd be in the lawn chair. Uncle Jeff, just wait. You're doing great. You're doing
Yeah, I'm
you're
getting to that point too.
you're doing great. Um, I know you're kind of early in your career, but what's the biggest mistake you've made or one that sticks in your mind while you were on the air?
Luckily, knock on wood, Jeff, I haven't said anything too stupid yet. I think it was the first time I did radio, and for a couple, like maybe the first segment, I kept on saying as you can see, and I think Taylor Zarza was my host, and he kept getting in my ear and saying, "Well, they really can't see anything; they're listening." So
Yeah.
I did that a few times, but luckily, as I say, I haven't really stuck my foot in my mouth yet.
Theater of the mind. Just remember
Yes.
that. Theater
Yeah.
of the mind.
Yeah.
Um, what's the worst? We call them pressers. You're one of us now, so you call you a presser.
Yeah.
What's the worst presser that you think you've either were part of or have attended?
Um, I don't know if it's any one that I was a part of or I've attended. It was one that I've seen. I think anytime Patrick Cantlay speaks might be one of the worst pressers I've ever seen. It's terrible. He makes it difficult. He makes it seem like he doesn't want to answer any questions and almost looks at the guys that are asking the questions with the disbelief that the how could you have the the balls to ask me this question?
Yeah, like what'd you have for lunch?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Brendon, what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning?
I will get up and make a cup of coffee as soon as I wake up, Jeff.
You got to. You got
Yeah,
to. I
yeah,
don't drink coffee, but I drink some other stuff. And no, it's not single malt scotch at that time of
yeah.
day, but I'm just
I
saying.
wouldn't judge you.
Yeah, yeah. If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
A buffalo,
A water buffalo or an American buffalo? Bison.
a water buffalo.
Now, they're tough,
They're
but
tough.
look,
They're mean.
they're now. How would your wife put up with that?
She'd probably throw me out to pasture and shoot me.
Prob- if you, Brendon, if you could erase one mistake from your past, what would it be?
Um, Geez, Jeff, nothing. I don't have any major regrets, to be honest.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's actually the answer I'm always looking for. But they usually, well, I didn't.
yeah.
No,
No, I've got no major regrets.
you lived your life. That's a good thing. What's the worst concert you've ever been to?
Um, I went to an ACD concert, ACDC concert that wasn't very good. And I don't know if it was just the acoustics or if the concert wasn't great. They were also kind of old at the time, but I'd say probably an ACDC concert.
You talk about needing energy, the
Yeah,
way those guys perform or did.
yeah,
A couple of them are gone now, but
yeah.
boy. Um, what's your favorite movie? This is a People magazine section right here that we're doing. What's your favorite movie?
Wedding Crashers probably. I'm good for all those dumb, stupid comedies. I love to sit there where you don't have to think too hard while you're watching a movie.
I like that. I like that. Would you be considered a sweatshirt guy or a formal wear guy?
Sweatshirt, 100%.
Okay, I like that. Um, if this is kind of a head scratcher, really,
Yeah.
do you think golf can help kids that have trouble with math or social skills?
Yes. 100%. I think golf is wonderful for so many things. I think it can certainly help kids, and I think it can help as you get older as well. Make some certainly some great business relationships. But yes, short answer is yes. I do think it can help.
Okay, I do too. Uh, two-parter here, Brendon. What's the best part of travel when you were traveling all the time, and what was the worst part? We talked about traveling and when to call home properly, but there's other parts to it.
Yeah, I would say best part is that you certainly get to do what you want when you want for the most part. You're on your own outside of obviously when you're playing golf, but you get to do what you want when you want. You're not worried about anybody else. And the worst part is that you're leaving home and you're missing everything that happens at home while you're gone.
Okay, yeah. Couple more here, then I'll release you from the harness, as we used
Yes,
to
sir.
say. Um, what do you want to do when you retire?
Would I retire again?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, when your wife says it's okay this time.
I honestly, as weird as this might sound, I'd like to start traveling a little bit more, going to see some places that I haven't seen. When
Yeah.
everyone talks about how much you travel as a golfer, and sure you do, but typically you see the inside of the hotel room and the golf course. You're not going out there and being a tourist. So
Right.
would like to go out and see some cool places.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of them in this country, you see.
Yep. Yeah,
In,
very much so.
in my job, sometimes there was a layover between events, so I could I could go see a historical site or
Yeah.
a famed restaurant or something. I got to do a lot of that, which is very fortunate. Um, Brendon, what would be your last meal if you were on death row?
It would be a a big wedge salad to start, Jeff. A certainly a ribeye steak with
Oh yeah.
baked potato with everything. Um, some cream spinach, and I don't know, some kind of dessert. And anything for dessert would be good.
Well, at that point, you're not counting calories, so who
No, you're
gives a
not.
rip? Who gives a rip?
That's right. That's right.
So, all right, this is the one we're closed with here, and then Brendan Jean, Brendan DeYoung. What would be your message to the world?
Uh, would love to tell everybody to just be a little bit nicer to your friends, your not friends, to anybody. Just everybody be a little bit nicer to each other.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Brendan, stick with us when we sign off here, but I want to thank you. Again, you can find him on social media on uh, X, formerly known as Twit, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, I think. Is that
Yeah.
what you said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on all of them now, Jeff.
Yeah. God, he's going to be a social media mogul before he knows it
Yeah.
here. Anyway, I really appreciate you agreeing to do this show. You didn't know me from Adam, and I had a lot of fun talking with you. We can talk
That's
barbecue sometime too.
yes, sir. Sounds wonderful. Thanks very much for having me.
No problem. We'll be back next week with another edition of After Hours here on Grilling at the Green. Go out, have some fun, play some golf, and most of all, be kind. Take care, everybody.